Hey everybody, Andrew back with another point. This is the third episode in my series called What is Consciousness? And what this particular episode is going to be about is the difference between man-made objects and, I guess, God-made objects such as nature, humans, ideas, things like that, things of that nature. And so I kind of mentioned this in a previous video. I think it was the introduction video in which I was saying that just both of these things do have consciousness in them, because what consciousness is, again, is just something that lives a life, and inside of that life it tries to express, something out into the world. And so whether you're a person or you're just like a car, that car has a lifespan. It's like we didn't have cars forever, so you can say the lifespan of a car is 1800s into 2100s, because we're probably not going to have cars by 2100. I mean, who knows? That's what they're saying 100 years ago, and we still do, but that's probably because we lost 100 years of research for the most part. But or for another example of a man-made object, you can think of something like a battleship or something. Not like a modern day battleship, but just like a pirate ship. Think of the ships with sails and stuff. It's we still have sail boats, but there's really no big pirate ships or imperial ships with massive sails and stuff, not that I've ever seen. And probably if they do have them, they're just for show. They're not actually something that people expect to travel the ocean in anymore. I mean, maybe, but for the most part, that thing would have its age too. It would have its age from medieval times into industrial times. And so in that example particularly, it's showing how humanity progressed in their transportation. Not only was it transportation, but it was transportation overseas, and then they started weaponizing their transportation. And so the lifespan of a battleship or a pirate ship shows, in its different sectors of its life, where it was just for traveling, and then they started putting weapons on it, and then they grew bigger and bigger and became the massive battleships that we know today. And then, well, not the modern ones, just the pirate ships that we know today, my bad. And then, at the end of the life of the pirate ships, they were probably rendered useless because I actually don't know why. I could probably guess, but if you're interested in battleships, you can always, or pirate ships' life, you can always go look it up, and that's how you're gonna basically osmosis take in the consciousness of this battleship or this pirate ship's lifetime. And so that's how man-made objects have their that's why their consciousness and what they're trying to express. And then a man, or something that isn't man-made, something created by God, and a man, for obvious reasons, or just to get started, they make the battleship or the pirate ship or the car or whatever. They make the houses. They make all the man-made objects. And so it's actually the person in that case that is trying to get something across. But that person is creating thoughts, and those thoughts is what is being expressed outwards. And so thoughts lead to man-made objects being made, and so those man-made objects are basically living thoughts. They're living expressions of some person back in time. And so being in our position of superiority as a man, being at the top of the food chain, we're not only able to be aware of consciousness, but we're able to make huge expressions. And then there's nature, and there's animals. In nature and animals, they can express themselves too, but they express themselves very differently. Like a dog, a dog expresses itself in a way that's hostile, and it's aggressive, and it wants to fight, and it wants to claim land, and they're always walking around pissing on bushes and stuff. They're just trying to claim particular areas and like say this is mine. So they like to, have their territory, and there's all kinds of other animals that have that. And so you could say that nature likes to claim territory. It likes to possess things. It doesn't like to be lost. It likes to possess things. And humans, you can see, fit into that category for the most part. The only thing is that humans are supposed to be bigger than animals, and they're not supposed to fall into these things such as possession, because if you're a decent person, then you should know that no matter what you possess, it's not ever going to, make you a more powerful person. And the only reason I say that is because your possession doesn't help you express anything. And being humans, our only goal really is to express things, to make important thoughts that help evolutionize the future generations that are coming. And by possessing things, you may be in a better position to share your thoughts with people. I mean, it's really complicated, but just what I'm getting at here is that you're not really going to... Humans don't really fit into the same category as animals, as nature. They're supposed to rise above that. They're supposed to rise above the primitive nature of things. And so that's what the human's role is. It's to observe consciousness in all of its different forms, to take lessons from it, and then go above and beyond and decide which things that they want to embody. And I don't know why, but it seems like most people want to embody dogs and other territorial, aggressive creatures. But then you have your saints and your Jesus Christ who realized that life is only temporary, and all of these things pass, and no amount of things that you own make a difference. It's actually just who you are. It's actually the way you act, the way you treat other people that's going to make a difference. And so there's also the clouds and the ocean and all these things in nature that give really, I guess, good expressions in a way. They're we're just gentle. We just go with the wind. We consume 85% of the planet in water's case, if you're including, the water inside of every human being and all the water in the air and stuff. Water consumes the majority of Earth. It's pretty much a ball of water besides the little hydrated plains and stuff. But anyway, water, it coexists with everything. It flows, it doesn't just break off in random directions that it wants to break off in. No, it follows gravity. It follows, if something's down, it doesn't just start going upwards. No, it just goes down. It follows the flow. It goes with the flow. And so you can learn things like that from the wind and from the water. And so nature has both sides of the ballgame. The side that's just really, beautiful and outgoing, and it just kind of flows, and it doesn't ever try to control anything. And then you have actual beings, animals and monkeys and cows and stuff, and they're not so, just with the flow. I mean, sure, it's the circle of life. They're still gonna have to eat things and, do whatever they gotta do, but there's many different levels of those beings too. There's bugs, and then there's lizards, and then there's cats, and then there's dogs, and then there's mountain lions, and then there's parakeets or parrots, which are really smart, and then there's dolphins, and they're probably even smarter than a parrot, And so there's all these different levels, and they all have different things that they can express. And then there's humans at the very top of this thing, and they look at all of these other forms of consciousness, and they can osmosis absorb their energy, their message, the thing that they're trying to get out, and they can learn from that, and they can improve themselves and use those things to improve their world, to take care of those things, to kill them, to eat them, to take care of their own needs with them. And then you get back to the group of man-made objects, which are those things, the things that we use in order to control or to just go with the flow or whatever. That's what those man-made objects are. All right. But yeah, consciousness is just things. I already said this in the last video, I'm just going to touch up on it again, but consciousness is one of those things that just expresses itself. And then humans are a very supreme version of consciousness. They can look down and see every other form of consciousness, observe it and learn from it and rise above it, and then become better human being. No long, like, you can lead a horse to water, but there's no way it's gonna drink. All right, and you can take that literally in this term. Leading a horse to water, it's not going to necessarily, if that water in this case is learning how to become a better horse, it's not going to really care. It's gonna be like, bro, I just kind of eat poop and eat hay, and drink water. But people, on the other hand, they get to say, I think I am gonna learn. I think I am going to try and become a better person here. And so that's another level. And I think it's dumb to think that there aren't more superior versions of consciousness than us that kind of look at us like, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And that's just like a global saying. And so, and that's another thing. All of these sayings, all of these really cool things that you can tell other people to make them understand and have epiphanies and miraculous realizations and revelations and stuff, they're that simple. They're just observing consciousness and then absorbing that in and then applying that to other things. And so once you learn how to see the thought that goes into every man-made object and why that man-made object came from somewhere, something that it observed, and then see what thought from God made, why God made that thing, which most of the time it seems like he made those things particularly so that we could observe them. But some things, like communication, aren't meant to only be observed. They're meant to be a tool to help us express ourselves. And so you can ask God why he made communication, and then you can become a better communicator and better public speaker and things of that nature. And so yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Hopefully it kind of allows you to, or opens up your eyes. It makes you more willing to go look at everything that you see in a more deeper way, so that you can understand how it relates to your life, how it is important, how it is the same as you, how it is just a thought, but it's not a thought made by people, it's a thought made by a supreme being that made our planet. And you can see why he made those things. He made those things particularly so that we could observe them and then share them, and again evolve the future generations outcoming in order to become a better and better humanity, a better and better civilization as a whole. And yeah, hopefully these kinds of things interest you, and because they certainly interest me. I enjoy being able to have all these cool metaphors and alliterations to help people understand day-to-day things, and when you can apply them to your own life, it's really great. And so all I'm trying to do here basically is lead you to water, and if you want to drink, if you want to look at all these beautiful consciousness things that God created for you and try to understand what they are doing for you and so on, then please do be my guest. That's what this channel is for. And yeah, this episode was just to elaborate on the difference between man-made consciousness, thoughts that made those consciousness, and thoughts is a version of consciousness, and because again, it's trying to express something, which in some cases is just communication, in some cases it's a man-made object, and then there's nature, and there's both sides of nature, and then there's also humanity, and then there's God, and like aliens, or whatever you want to believe in, supreme beings of consciousness. And so yeah, I just wanted to explain in this video how each of those things are conscious and what they're trying to do and what you can get out of each of those things if you're willing to look a little bit deeper. Alright guys, that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed, and again, I hope that you're willing to kind of look into the world a little bit better and learn some stuff from it. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.